Welcome back to Wedding Mayhem, your wedding channel for all things wedding, and I've kept her.
Hello.
Hello. Who are you?
I'm Lizzie.
Boujee Music?
From Boujee Music, yes. We run a live music agency specifically for weddings, and yes, that's what we do.
It is. And I had something really lovely happen in my boutique this week.
Did you?
I've seen it a couple of times elsewhere, but it's never happened to me. I had a bride ask her bridesmaids to be bridesmaids.
Oh, that's such a lovely touch in that moment.
But we didn't have the heads up. I grasped what was going to happen because she had all these bags with little name tags on.
Oh.
And she quickly put them down inside. And but had we known, we could have done a bit more.
Really
I mean, we've always
special.
got bubbles on going anyway. But it was just, I got so emotional.
That's a really special moment to do it as well. You know, they've made the effort to be there. And I guess if one of them didn't turn up, you could be like, well, she's not a bridesmaid anymore.
Exactly. So she asked them, and it was very emotional. They were just so lovely. But then I was like, all the way through the point, and thinking, oh my God, there's so much pressure. What if she doesn't find a dress with me today? Because you'd hope that the day that you asked your bridesmaids to be bridesmaids, that you'd find your dress at the same time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I guess there's something special that's already come out of the day. So if she didn't find it on that visit, you know, there's still something special that happens. So.
It was lovely to witness, and I'm for that now. Before I was like, oh, it's a bit cheesy, you know, doing this big performance of asking your bridesmaids to be bridesmaids. But I'm all for it now.
That's so special, and with the bubbles and everything, and the gifts. I love it.
Yeah, and they did. They had she'd done like proper little picture frames of like when they first met and stuff like that, and real thought had gone into it.
You know, because a lot of obviously having a wedding is about the marriage and marrying that one special person, but it's also that time in your life when you have your close friends with you to have those really special bonding moments, to think you're special enough to me in my life right now still, where I want to have you there next to me on my special day.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I love that.
Yeah, so that happened to me. What's happened to you?
So we have been working hard at Boujee Music because we've always had showcases for the bands. So we have our couples come to see the band live because it's really important that they get a taste of that. But we've revamped it. We're now starting to work with venues where we can give you a full wedding experience, so you can come to your venue that you might have booked, and you can enjoy our performance with all of our bands.
Is this so before they actually book you?
Before they book us, they can try it out.
So different.
And they can experience the wedding venue. They'll dress it all up as though they're doing a wedding. So you get a feel for what the band will feel like in your venue.
Because that's so hard, isn't it? Because you book this empty space, and we had Kelly Mortimer in, who does venues.
Yes.
And she said, don't worry about the carpet.
Yes.
Because there's going to be chairs, there's going to be tables on it. And she's so right.
Yeah.
But when you walk in and see that, you know, swirly carpet and stuff like that, you can't imagine what the atmosphere is going to be.
Exactly. And also the sound is so different with bands in different venues, and there's sound limiters and all sorts of different things. But if you actually see our band live, you can see how the flow of the day could go. So you might want to book the jazz band on top of what you might have already booked, because you might think it's a lovely way through the entrance hall of the venue. Just see how the day breathes in itself. So it's really exciting.
Oh, I'm going to come to one of those.
Come.
I will. We've got Jenga.
We have Jenga. We've got either too much time on our hands,
or we had somebody who asked us to make it into Jenga. Welcome, Alison Hargreaves from Guides for Brides.
Hello. Trouble making before I even start.
I mean, it's perfect.
It's not my details.
It is about the detail. It was chaos on the plate, I have to say, and actually, it was a bit upsetting that the groove bits were on the top.
It was not aesthetically pleasing, and if we're going to do weddings, we've got to be aesthetically pleasing. I'm sorry.
So Guides for Brides has been in my bridal life since the day I began. And in fact, my first wedding fair was greeted by a representative from you with those little booklets. So I love the company anyway. But for those who don't know about you, what is it? What do you do?
So,
do you know what no one talks about when you start planning a wedding?
That things really can and do go wrong. Like when a supplier suddenly goes bust, or God forbid, when someone falls ill just before the big day.
Yeah, and that's why wedding insurance is so important. With Wedding Insure, you can help protect your wedding from the unexpected.
It covers all sorts of things, like cancellation and rearrangement if you or a loved one falls ill, financial failure of wedding suppliers, venue issues, even damage or theft of your wedding dress, rings or gifts.
And cover starts from as little as £38.99, with 10 tiers of cover from £6,000 to £100,000. So give yourself that extra peace of mind and head to weddingshore.co.uk and get your big day covered.
Not the most exciting part of wedding planning, but could be the best investment you make.
And as always, make sure you read the T's and C's. What do you do?
So, wow, quite a lot.
That's it. Those are all the questions gone. That's it. Biscuit.
Relax, sit back. So yeah, Guides for Brides, it's evolved so much since then. So I should have brought one in. Our original printed directory that I think we did 2,000 copies, and it was just South Oxfordshire. And it was black and white. In fact, not even black and white. It was on a sort of creamy colour, because that was the very in colour for weddings.
Right.
And it just gradually evolved from that. It was born out of a wedding fair.
Yes.
So one of those, sometimes wedding fairs just kind of like miss the point and they're in the wrong venue. And we were in what was kind of like a nightclub. It just didn't work. It was nightclub trying to promote for weddings. They'd invited a load of wedding suppliers. And we all went along. And I don't think we saw a single couple all day. It was just...
The thing is that when you're going up and down, and that person's busy and you go, I'll go back and see them later, you miss people.
And there were probably, I don't know, there might have been 4, 5, 6 couples that came in all day. Literally, there was no more than that.
Right.
But what a brilliant opportunity for the businesses to network. And I think people forget this about wedding fairs is partly about meeting the couples, partly about that opportunity to get into the venue. But it's also an awful lot about that opportunity to talk to other businesses and go, what's working for you, what's not working for you. And at the time, it was back in the Ice Age, before the internet.
Yeah.
And the biggest challenge that businesses had is, how do you get your name out there? Because the only way to advertise was Yellow Pages.
Or the Surrey Advertiser.
Yes.
Or I used to do leaflet drops.
Yes, yeah. Or you put your business card in the local hotel,
Yes,
which meant that your audience was only as big as, you can get your business card out.
And hope that the receptionist didn't put it in the bin.
Yeah. Or the people that had Yellow Pages, they weren't the couples, it might have been the parents, and that, worked to a degree. And so at this wedding fair, it was all businesses that knew each other. They were all South Oxfordshire businesses. So I said, how about instead of all of us doing our business cards into all of the local hotels, what about putting them all into one sort of leaflety thing? And we can then distribute that. All of us can hand that out. I mean, it seems so obvious, so simple, and everyone went, it's so stupid. So I went, okay, no, I won't. Anyway, I had a wedding cake company at the time. So it was the wedding cake company.
So you were making wedding cakes?
I was making wedding cakes, and I was making like handmade chocolates for some of them for weddings, but corporate gifts and so on. So it's sort of two sides of the business, but the wedding cake side of the business was the bit I was wanting to really promote.
She should have bought cakes in.
I know.
I should have bought cakes. I'm sorry.
It makes sense now with the gender.
I don't make cakes. My husband makes amazing brownies. I don't bake anymore at all. Yeah, it makes me far too anxious. I know all the things that can go wrong making a wedding cake. So I was looking at ways to promote the wedding cake business, and so it's right, put that in amongst everything else, push that out there. And then when I was getting married myself, I realised how hard it was finding those little niche businesses, because what I want, it probably won't surprise you, I didn't want to have a normal wedding. I wanted to have all of the unusual stuff that other people weren't doing, because I was seeing it in other weddings. So I was like, I want a band. We had a Shire horse and a brewery dray to take us back from the church.
Wow.
They took the barrels off first.
Damn.
We had a hog, all of the things that you see more now, but in those, we had a chocolate wedding cake. It was before anyone was having chocolate wedding cakes.
That was risky.
It was, it was just for the evening. We had 2 wedding cakes. I still had to have the traditional
Did you make the cakes yourself?
I did, and somebody nearly dropped the top tier. He tripped, and it was like one of those cartoon moments. His hand was like a mile in front of him, and I don't know how he got his body back under the top tier of the cake. It was a miracle. I mean, obviously, my wedding was complete mayhem because of the way I'd set up things so impossible for people to work for. It was a 4-tier cake in a marquee with a wobbly floor, things like that. Everything should have gone wrong. Amazingly, it didn't. And everything that did go wrong, I didn't know about it until afterwards. So I'm a great advocate.
Yes.
Don't worry.
Yes.
It was like you hear about what went wrong afterwards.
We were talking about this earlier, weren't we?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, it turned out when you look at the photos of us all on the steps of the church, and it's like, oh, Bill, where's your mum? It's like, oh, she passed out. So the mother of the groom had passed out and it had to be delicately removed from the back of the photos. We didn't notice. We had no idea till afterwards because other people deal with it. You just don't need to worry.
I had
you don't want to know.
I had a bride whose sister was heavily pregnant and shouldn't have been, I think it was like third child or something, and shouldn't really have been at the church. So she see her sister get married, managed to make it through the ceremony and was having contractions, but the bride obviously didn't know. And at the photos, managed to get herself in the photo, then literally went round the back and off they went to hospital. Had the baby, came back for cake cutting.
No! Oh, well done.
But the bride was not aware of it until she got to the reception and said, right, sister's had a baby.
Did she get in trouble for being an extra person? Sorry, no children.
My mum went off for a nap and she missed my cake cutting and she went back to the hotel for a nap.
That would be me.
And she missed my cake cutting and my first dance.
No.
But I'm like, it's okay. I didn't notice.
Well, and it wouldn't have spoiled it for you.
It didn't spoil it for me.
Yeah,
and you know what?
let's
She
not
had
worry.
more energy on the dance floor. So
there we go. It's always
Can't
it's
complain.
always a plus. Always a plus. Anyway, where was I?
Do you find because when you work in the industry, when it comes around to your wedding, you're probably more aware than others when it comes to those details of your wedding? Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I have to try to really, really butt out. My goddaughter's planning her wedding at the moment. In fact, you saying about asking bridesmaids, she asked whether either my husband and I, it's going to be such a punch up to work out who it's going to be, we'll do a reading for her wedding.
Right.
It's so emotional, and I don't think brides realise how that really does. It's a big moment to ask if you're on the receiving side.
Even if you are good at public speaking.
I didn't expect to be asked. How lovely to have asked. Wow. So I think.
But I love it that she's actually put it in your house, going, right, you two sort it out.
Yeah, you sort it out.
Yeah, which one?
It's like,
Well, that's the thing, because you can be someone who does presentations and speaks in front of many people, but when it comes to actually speaking at something that's so close to your heart, it's a lot different.
Well, again, we talked about this earlier. I'm being pushed to stand up in front of a load of people and fight for something that shouldn't have been taken away from us. And they go, Sharon will do it. Sharon's on TV, it's like, I'm like, no.
It's a big deal. So anyway, she's planning her wedding. She is getting married overseas, and in fact is living overseas. So we were out seeing her. Funny story, actually. I took her to a wedding fair. She's living in Singapore, planning the wedding in Singapore. All of her family are in the UK, and she's getting married in France. And I spent a weekend with her. I know. And while I was there was a wedding fair at the amazing Marina Bay Sands, the one
right
there. There was another one in this lovely traditional hotel, and the lovely traditional hotel does a lot of Chinese weddings. We thought, let's go and have a look. It would be really interesting, nice to see what they're doing there. And she's a pescatarian, so we were being a little bit careful with that. They had this lovely bowl food. They were wanting everyone to try the food. The food's really well known. And anyway, we'd had these bits, and she had tried this lovely mango, and it had sort of tapioca or something in there, and she said, that's amazing. So I said, it was the sales and marketing manager of the venue that was showing us around. He knew what I did, and he was wanting to sort of show us the whole hotel. I said, what's in? And he said, it's a Chinese delicacy. He said, no, what's in it? It's just, she's pescatarian, need to be a bit careful. He went, it's ever so good for your skin. And I said, no.
Oh.
What is it? He wouldn't tell me anyway. So good old, got the phone out, ChatGPT. Frogs' fallopian tubes.
Wow.
Who would think to put that in mango puree?
I was thinking salmon sperm for some reason, but I was quite close.
Also
Fallopian
something.
tubes.
Oh, my goodness me.
Yeah.
What is it with those animals and those parts of their bodies being good for our skin?
I know.
Although I'm starting to get to the point where I'll try anything.
Don't have the salmon sperm, it really hurts.
Have you had the salmon sperm?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not good with needles. I've had a lip flip done, and that hurts like hell. Oh, and had the macerator things done.
Yes.
And that's really good for your headaches, but my God, no.
I have to say that it tasted really good. Don't knock it.
Don't knock it until you try it.
So anyway, I think I've gone off on a complete. So yeah, we were out there, looking at these 2 different wedding fairs, all of these ideas, and I was just zip it, because it's her wedding, and there's nothing worse than somebody that knows something about weddings coming in and going, oh, okay, you're not doing. Oh, okay, you're not doing that. Okay, it's just no. Everyone's wedding is their day, it's their expression, it's got to be about them, and you need everyone else to just butt out.
But Alison, you are a leading wedding expert. I mean, for you to have to sit there and keep tight-lipped must be near impossible. Yeah. Because actually, it'd be quite helpful, wouldn't it, to have Alison on board?
But I get it, because I'm a little bit the same, because we know what can go wrong. So all we're trying to do is stop them having those things that go wrong.
This is, I guess, how Guides for Brides evolved. So it started off as a directory, printed directory. As soon as the internet came along, we went online. And then once it was online, it could then grow nationally, which it did very, very quickly. So we had huge expansion. Just when I was having children, it couldn't have come at the worst time.
Typical.
The internet and children coming along at the same time, when you're just going, come on, we want to grow. This is where it's quite exciting with AI, because the shift from print to internet is very similar to the shift from Google to AI now.
Yes.
But this time I'm not also trying to bring children into the world at the same time. So it's like, great, we can actually focus on it. Yeah. But at that point, once we were online, there's then that ability to share that knowledge, share that information. And that's always what Guides for Brides has been. It's not a directory, we're always positioned as a directory, but it's not. It's this source of a massive amount of information. First of all, for couples getting married, but to me, far more importantly, it's there for the businesses so that they can run the best business they possibly can. And we're not into the sort of vanity stats. We're not into quantity. It's all about quality and
so you actually vet your suppliers before they go into your directory.
So to a degree, we speak to everyone, and people can put themselves onto the directory, but we're straight on the phone to them, having a chat with them. We were also the first to bring reviews onto the platform, and everyone thought we were bonkers. Can you imagine now any of the directories not having reviews there? But this was before they were all doing it. And I tend to go overseas quite a lot to find out what others are doing. And it was starting to come in the US through Yelp. And it was really helping people make decisions. So we thought, this is something we want to put on the platform. And brought that in. And what has happened is it self-vets the platform. Because if somebody gets a negative review and they're an advertiser, guess what? They're on the phone to us saying, you need to take that review down. Right. And we go, but we can't do that. Because, we'll talk you through it. We'll help you understand what's happened.
Help you manage it.
We'll speak to the couple if appropriate. We will.
Could they take it down?
The couple can take it down. And very often it's a matter of helping sort out the miscommunication, because it's always about almost always about miscommunication.
And also, what people have assumed that they're getting and what they do get. We have it in our industry, the expectations. Well, I thought, why would you not include that? Well, no, I haven't said that I'm going to include that. It's not,
But also, I think reviews are a really, really helpful thing, because they can reflect what the business is actually doing in practice. And sometimes when we get a review like that, it's a matter of saying, actually, this is a helpful review. Really good example, a bridal boutique who got a negative review from somebody that came in with a toddler and another child, and they were running riot in the boutique. And the bride had left feedback saying she didn't feel she was made very welcome. And actually, in that situation, for the bridal boutique to reply, because they can reply to the review and just
this
say,
is really important, the reply.
You know, it would have been, you know, if we'd known that you were going to come, we would have encouraged you to come. We would have opened in the evening, or we would have given you a weekday appointment when the boutique isn't so busy.
Yes.
But there were other brides there, and so we can't have small children tearing around, because this boutique wasn't an appropriate one to have small children. So actually that review is really helpful for other brides that are going to be shopping with small children, to go, okay, this is what I need to do if I want to go to that boutique.
And if I want to have a good experience. And we have it a lot with us. I mean, it's all on all our forms where, you know, we have a maximum amount of people and they can still turn up with double. And then we're like, you know, but we thought they would just bring them along anyway. And I went, but you wrote,
why do you want
but
to do
also
that?
you wrote that you were bringing X number of people, but then you bought double. But you know, so we're very clear. But people don't tend to read it all.
But in actual fact as well, you can tell a lot by how the vendor is dealing with that complaint. If they deal with that, you know, incorrectly, or they're not dealing with it in a, you know, in a feedback way, or if they, you know, you can tell a lot by their response to that. And I think that is also a valuable asset to have, to see how that person takes negative feedback.
Yes.
And I think for the vendor to say, you know, we're not child friendly. You know, we do say this on our website. Then you know, they obviously, when you're looking at both, going, oh, obviously you haven't read the bits and pieces.
And people will get, you know, they'll understand what the review is really about. You know, that's important. But you're right, it helps vet the businesses on there, because either they believe in our ethos of absolute transparency, that if this is how your business operates, then, you know, you'll be comfortable with people reviewing it in that way. So run your business as you would like to be judged. And nobody needs to be scared of reviews, but don't ask us to take them down. And it was a really difficult one during COVID, because businesses were saying, but we were having to operate in a different way. But actually when the chips are down, that's when it really matters, because it's when it's a stressful situation that how does the business deal with it?
And weddings are, aren't they?
Weddings are. You have to remember with reviews, you know, I've had a few, you know, negative reviews over 25 years. And I think my favourite one was literally from the bride, who wasn't actually even party to what was going on, but they were horrifically behaved. And they bought KFC with them.
No.
All of them. And they bought too many people with them, so you know there was no room, because we had a lovely girl who was on her own for a bridal experience, and all these people, and then they had people outside, and they were constantly banging on the window going, 10, 8, you know, and all this sort of stuff, eating their KFC outside, eating the KFC inside. And so she wrote this review, and it was really quite damning. It was awful. Luckily it was a Google, so I was able to reply, so it's got a little tab behind, and you know, so my headline was, who brings KFC to a bridal boutique?
And the reply is, it's more interesting, more relevant to couples.
I get more appointments from that than I do anything else.
It's really good, positive advertising. It was, you know, we don't deal with these loonies. You know, we're a proper business. So, you know, and it means from our point of view, we get quality businesses on the platform, and that's really important to us, because it reflects on us.
Yes,
you know,
totally.
And occasionally we'll get an email from somebody that says, you know, this business was, you know, a nightmare at our wedding, blah, 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 blah. And we look on our database and go, sorry, they're not on our platform. They go, yes, I know, we just thought you should know. Yeah, well, that's why they're not on our platform. But thank you for letting us know.
Talk to us about the price guide.
The price guide?
Yes.
What, on
your platform?
On our platform?
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite an interesting one. So this one, we've got probably three different ways that people can look for price. We've actually got a sort of pound sign, because TripAdvisor was the sort of recognised way of filtering that sort of thing. And we felt it would be quite useful for us to find a way to help businesses identify where they sit, and that they can't sit in all four.
Yes.
But they can still have wide price ranges. Right. So it's this really big difference is, are you a budget business?
Yeah.
are you a luxury business?
Yeah.
Are you, you know,
middle of the
sort
road,
of cautious,
yeah,
moderate, splashing out? You know, so there's those four that we try to categorise it as. But our argument is that it would be unbelievably rare for a business to be both luxury and budget. You know, it just
I am
doesn't. But it's unbelievably rare to be able to give that same level of service.
Yes.
Within the same business model, and also be able to deliver at the best possible price. So that helps people distinguish there. And we have different websites that they are automatically put in. So Guides for Brides is the one that people know very well. Yeah. We've got champagne weddings that all of the luxury ones go into. We've got Weddings for Less. So if you position yourself as one end or the other, we go, right, actually, niche. Nobody pays any extra. It's there within their package. They go into,
and that's really helpful for couples getting married, because there is this thing going, oh, you know, when they come into the boutique, they're like, you know, we ask them the budget, and we're like, well, we don't know yet. Well, what they're saying is that they don't want to commit because they don't want to be, they don't want me to say, oh, it's £1,000 and they're only at £500.
Absolutely,
you know.
And then the price range is probably the important one from that point of view. It's really easy to say, you can't say to somebody, how much would you like to spend? But they always know how much they don't want to spend.
Yes,
so if
that's
you do
what
it
we
the other
do,
way around, so this is what we were trying to achieve with the price range, is going, right, you sit somewhere here. So it's going to cost more than £400, but it's probably not going to cost more than $3,000. Now, it's a really wide range, but that's because so many businesses offer a really
different packages.
Wide
Yeah, do you have different packages?
We have 3 different packages.
Do you?
Yes, we do, yes.
Yeah. So, and I think that's recommended as well.
We want to cover all bases, don't we?
Yeah, and also there are we can offer the band in different sizes, and you know, and also that we have different bands that could go out at different parts of the day, which are included in certain packages. I think people who are planning weddings don't necessarily know how much individual vendors cost, do they? They don't really have a real idea of it until they get started. So they might well have in mind, oh, when we plan this wedding, we're not going to spend any more than this. But in reality, quite often, you know, it is more expensive than they would have imagined.
I think it can be. And I think having those typical prices has been really important. So we put typical prices on the platform a few years ago, and some of that was led by couples telling us what the prices were. So, you know, who did you book and what did it cost? So we were then putting that information on there. We now ask businesses for that, and it's pretty accurate. We compare the two, what businesses are saying and what couples are saying, and it does tend to be pretty accurate.
What's the biggest myth that couples have about wedding costs? Or the biggest myth that's out there about how much weddings cost?
So I think there's a lot of misunderstanding about what goes into the data.
Yes.
So there's wildly different figures about how much a wedding costs.
Yes.
And the biggest problem on that is where you look at where the data comes from, because I love my data.
Okay.
And we have got decades worth of data. So we can look back on all of the patterns, and wedding prices haven't gone up massively. They've hovered around the 17, 18, 19, 20, 21,000. What the shift is the multicultural...
what you're going to say then.
Don't delete me. What the shift is more couples planning multicultural or Asian weddings using the platforms like ours. So that is going to be a higher spend typically. And also, I think, more acceptance of the way people are coming onto platforms. They're not going onto Google going, I want to look for a wedding directory. They are saying, I'm looking for a wedding of this capacity. And they're coming to our website through that, and they're landing on the business that is offering that, if the business has filled out their details. Even more so now with AI, and 60+% of couples using AI to do this research. So even more so, we're coming up at the top of those searches. They're coming into the directories and they're sending those inquiries. Yeah. So way back even back to 2017, we had 4% of our couples were spending more than 100,000 on their venue alone. So this is wedding planner territory.
House.
But if you were to say to, if you went to Claridge's and said, we think you should advertise on this directory, they'd say, no, we're luxury. These are people, 4% of our audience are spending more than 100,000.
Yeah.
So
where are they getting their money from?
So
and can I find husband number 5? 4.
Lost count now.
Lost count. That's a lot of cake. So I think it depends on your culture, depends on how you're being brought up, depends how much your parents are wanting to throw a party for you, depends on your relationship with your parents, because that's been a big shift, hasn't it? That couples are paying for their own wedding, and therefore the wedding budgets are needing to be a little bit more cautious. Yeah. And the guest lists are coming down because you're not having to invite all the parents' friends. Now, if that was to shift, if that trend was to shift, we'd be back to having 100, 120 guests at the weddings, because parents would be inviting people.
So I am finding, got a frog in my throat. Oh my goodness.
As long as it's not a frog fallopian tube.
Oh my God, Lizzie.
Bit of mango juice.
No. Back it in, you two. Very serious reporter here. I'm finding at bridal stage, because I'm one of the first people that they will come to, that during this recession that we've been having, that the parents are stepping up and paying.
Yeah.
Nearly, I would say 70% at the moment.
And they're very often then wanting input into the bit that they're paying for. So I think that's the difficulty, and that's the bit that couples or the bride need to manage.
Yes.
But also understanding that if the parents are, the parents aren't going to own that bit of the wedding, but actually just out of respect, if they are paying for the wine because it's really important to them that guests have fabulous wine. Yeah. Spend that bit of the budget on the wine and have some fabulous wine. Don't go, oh, Mum won't notice if I actually, get some gorgeous shoes for the bridesmaids.
We did on our wedding. John was all about the wine, and I'm not bothered as long as it's got an alcohol content above 12. I'm fine. But he wanted some nice wine for the table, so he had top table of the wine that he chose, and then the guest net had. No, it wasn't. It was still good wine. It was still good wine, but nobody knew. But it was his wedding day, so he wanted to treat himself, But we had nice wine for the tables, but the special stuff was for the top table.
Yeah. We were discussing earlier about boundaries, weren't we? About planning weddings.
What, my boundaries?
Like that. No,
I have none.
But if, for instance, when it came to my wedding, we made sure that we paid for it ourselves, because I did feel like if we did receive some financial help, I felt a pressure then to invite all those family, friends and people that perhaps I didn't really want to, at the wedding, out of respect for that contribution, like you were saying. Yes. I think it's really a difficult thing to manage, isn't it? Not everybody is in a position where they can afford to do that. But it's a tricky, it's like with any side of planning a wedding, it's always a tricky place to put your boundary.
And I think this is where wedding planners absolutely earn every penny they're paid, and they're not paid enough for the hours they do, because usually they are stepping into that territory. So it's
mediators.
A lot of the London weddings. It's it's a traditional family. The parents will be paying. A lot of the multicultural weddings, Asian weddings, all of these more complex weddings.
And they go on for longer, don't they?
Go on for longer, really complicated. But there's all of those emotions of all of the expectations, the family expectations, the weddings, far more than just, this is our day and this is our day to party. It's a really, really important cultural step. And therefore there's a lot of people wanting to get involved and expecting to be able to have their pennies worth.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think whatever your budget is, that's great. Embrace it, enjoy it, and make sure you spend it on the bits that are important to you. We've got this really cool budget checker that Nikita
tell us more.
It's brilliant. Nikita built it after she spoke at some of the national wedding shows about budget, and realised how much it's one of those things that people are really, really struggling with. How do we allocate the budget?
It causes the most arguments.
And I think it's terrifying, because you think about the first thing you tend to book is the wedding venue, all of a sudden, 45% of your budget has gone.
Yes.
And you're going, I've only booked one thing. I've got another 19 on my list.
Yes. Yeah.
You then go to get your dress. And then inevitably you're going to fall in love with a beautiful dress.
Yes,
and that's probably where you stretch your budget.
Question for you. Should the dress budget be in the budget of the wedding? It's a question that gets asked a lot.
Yes, of course it should. I mean, you're not going to wear it another time, are you? So how would you allocate it?
We're saying it's for him. Does his outfit come out of that budget? So everything for the wedding in one budget?
So I would say if the man is buying the suit for the wedding, I would say that goes within the wedding budget. But very often they're hiring.
Yeah.
The bits that we say is stretching it a little bit is the engagement ring and honeymoon. Because as soon as you add those on, are you adding, with some people that's £1,000 in total. Yeah. In others, it's £50,000 in total. And it totally throws all of the
It can be
stats.
hard to remember those elements as well. When you think about planning the wedding, you think about the day itself, the venue, the food, the logistics of it all. But actually, under the whole umbrella of wedding are
there's a lot of extra bits.
Yes. So talking to brides about this was a question that came up, when we first started, saying, I wouldn't want my dress to be in the budget and being restricted or having to pare down because we've gone overboard with the venue.
But I think this is where most wedding budgets don't end up where they were meant to be. Most go over by 10%. But couples have got really savvy, and the budget planner that Nikita put together basically looks at the key elements. You put in what your budget is. And if your budget is, say, under 20,000, it's not going to start including a separate decor company or a planner or a production team. It's going to include the basic elements, and it will tell you how typically that budget should be split. So using data from lots and lots of couples that have planned weddings before. So you can then look at it and go, if I want that and that, I'm only going to have a small amount to spend on it.
Yeah.
So so you can change the figures around. Right, I'm going to spend more on my wedding dress. Okay, that means there's no money left for the suit. Sorry.
Again.
Sorry. So you can then play and work out what's important.
I love
what
this.
We've noticed in the last couple of years, because we've been talking more about wedding budgets, couples are getting really savvy. And the last couple of years, a lot of the extra bits they could book. So the things that they might not say are absolutely core essentials. So a lot of the entertainment elements, a lot of the additional decor elements, those lovely touches that can absolutely make a wedding, they've booked those quite late because they've booked everything that was essential and they've gone, wow, I've still got budget left and I've still got my contingency. And this is where you're getting the brides coming back in.
Makes sense.
Late bookings, additional bookings. So it's not so much it's a late booking, it's an extra booking. Yeah. That's a booking that before people were managing their budget. So, and we were worried that were we doing businesses out of money by going, right, plan your budget.
No, because their budget's their budget anyway.
Yeah.
And actually what was happening is people were finding that they were more comfortable spending earlier on because they could see what was left. Yeah.
I'm going to have to hold her down for this one. And we talk about sound limitators. Limiters. What did I say? Limitators.
They are limiting.
They are limiting.
What I'm really interested in, the idea of going into a venue and doing a bit of a showcase in the venue, that is absolutely brilliant because a lot of the work I do is with venues. And so seeing it from the other side, and they are terrified of working with live bands because it's just, one thing that can go wrong and you've got, a noise abatement order slapped on you and you've got all of these weddings coming up and you're having to go to those couples and going, oh, really sorry, we're going to have to move you all inside at 8 o'clock in the evening, whatever other restrictions might be put in place. So you can understand it from the venue's point of view. They have to be so careful about sound. So I think for that reason, particularly when they're working with live bands, they tend to be quite sort of overstating what their noise limit might be. However, in the UK, compared to any other country I can think of, there's one or two exceptions, but most places that you would go overseas for weddings, it's music off at 10:30 overseas. And when we've sent surveys out to couples, most couples have said 12 o'clock would be great. Very, very few are saying they're wanting 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, but there are plenty of venues that can do that if that's a priority. So I think it is making sure that, you know, if there is a sound limiter, it's there for a really good reason. And it's there because it has been established that sound at this venue will cause a problem for the neighbours, which then causes a problem for the venue.
So who's actually putting these on at the venues?
It's the council.
It is the council.
So it's part of their conditions to be able to run their entertainment licence. However, I had a lovely meeting with the Event Industry Forum. We'll get onto the UK Wedding Association in a bit, but
Can't three.
One of the things that we can access through the UK Wedding Association is access to the Purple Guide, which basically sets out all of this information. So we are members of the Event Industry Forum, which is all about outdoor events.
Okay.
And they can fight our corner where we run into problems on this. So for the first time, we've actually had that formal route to a primary authority who will then be able to go to the local authority and say, no, I think you'll find that up until midnight, because it's a Friday night or a Saturday night, you can do this. And a lot of the problems with sound limiters has come because we are getting married every day of the week. And we're getting married in venues that perhaps weren't originally designed to be wedding venues. Okay. Yeah. And, you know,
these places tend to be, these venues that, you know, have the sound limiters. By the way, even being a musician, I don't hate sound limiters. I think my issue with sound limiters in venues comes when like we were talking about before, the communication and the expectations of the couples is like, you know, well, why can't we have this louder, you know, on the night? Or, you know, when there's been no communication about the fact that it is a lot quieter, it can be a lot quieter, but we can do things with the desk where we balance out. We haven't got like hard sticks. We have hot rods sometimes just to soften the sound. But the thing about these beautiful venues is they can be made of this beautiful stone that actually the acoustics make it louder.
Yep.
And the reason why you've chosen this venue is because it's in a beautiful area, and in that beautiful area is where lots of people want to live.
Yes.
In that beautiful area. And I totally understand that. I just feel like couples like we were talking about, they don't know about sound limiters, or they haven't been informed about them. And then there's a real clash there of what we as a vendor can give the client, because it's not our fault, but you know, this is why we liaise with the venues beforehand, and we make sure that the couples are aware of what we can do.
Yeah. And I think this is it, isn't it? Making sure that the couples ask these questions when they're looking at the venue. They may look at the aesthetics, but is it going to work for them for what they want?
Don't blame the venue if you've chosen, because you're right, very often the acoustics do cause problems. A lot of venues are moving towards sort of glass orangeries rather than marquees. That's going to help. A lot of them have got these sort of zone array ceilings, which can really help absorb the sound. A lot of them are doing things like sort of slightly moving the flow of the day so that you're inside and with the doors shut at the appropriate times. But it's little things. I mean, even having a lake outside, that will amplify the noise that is then past. Yeah, lakes and rivers. Yeah, it moves on. Water will transfer.
Your voice carries down the stream.
All the way down the stream.
You know, my husband will agree with you.
Not always. But we've had it where we've had people write in, I don't know whether you've had an experience, but where they've taken their first dance, and because everybody's cheering, it's just set
and
it
that's
off.
The problem.
Cut it out.
Very often it's not the live band, it's not the DJ, it's the cheering, it's the calling for cabs. You know, lovely venue in Berkshire that was closed down from somebody calling for a cab after midnight and going, "Oi, Fred, your cab's here." And that went over the limit. That was the evidence that went into the cab.
Yeah, so we've done a test thing in here recently, and it was actually my voice that. Surprise!
Really, Sharon? Wow, that's really.
We talked about UK Wedding Association. Tell us more, because I'm excited about this.
So the business has always evolved to solve problems.
Yes,
you know, all the way through we've been solving problems, and we celebrated 30 years last year. year. Really exciting.
I came to the celebration and it was very, very, very lovely. I had a lovely evening. It was in Bath, wasn't it?
Oxford. Yes.
Oxford.
So good, you didn't even know where she was.
To be honest, I had quite a lot of champagne that evening.
It was a lovely, lovely evening.
Yes.
And what was really nice is bringing people together who had been there all the way through. We had businesses there that had literally advertised in our very, very first edition, and were there. And yeah, it was absolutely fabulous. But it really was a catalyst for me going, right, what am I going to do with all of this industry knowledge? What do we do next?
Yes.
What's going to make a really big difference?
Yeah.
And during those dreaded COVID years, there was a load of us got together within the UK Weddings Task Force. And that was, some incredible names from the industry that pulled everyone in from all directions. And we spent 2 years on Zoom coming up with all sorts of solutions and going, why didn't we talk about this earlier? Why didn't we, that would be best practice. And why aren't we working under a code of conduct? And why can't we do this? And let's do this. Come on, let's do this. And at when everything reopened in 2022, we all went, yay, we're back in our businesses. And we were working so hard. All of us were working so hard. That very, very, very nearly got lost. And it was one of those moments earlier on last year where I went, if I don't do this, I've got the time. Guides for Brides knows what they're doing. The team have got it. They actually they do better when I'm not here than when I'm around.
My business does this time.
It's so depressing. But they do really well without. They do not need me at all. So how can I use that knowledge and, more importantly, my network? And so I brought together this advisory board, but partly to start with me asking them permission. It was like, thinking about doing this, it should really be you. You're the person that knows everything about this, but I'm happy pulling it together, but would you help me? Will you support me? And it ended up being this amazing body of everyone from the top of the industry.
It was like Avengers Unite. It
was
it
was just fabulous, fabulous.
Wonderful.
If you go onto the website, the About Us, it's got details of, and it's not everyone that is brilliant within the industry, because there are way, way too many people, but hopefully they're all in the sidelines, or they've been coming in as ambassadors, strategic partners.
Brilliant.
I don't think there's a single person that I've spoken to who said, no, I don't want to support that. They're all kind of like, yeah, what can I do? What can I do to help? How do we build this?
There's no governing body for weddings.
And we don't want that.
No.
So that's the really important thing. We don't want to be regulated. This is an industry that's never been regulated, and it really doesn't need to be regulated. And it showed during COVID, we sorted ourselves out with absolutely no flipping support from the government. They did the opposite.
Yes.
So we sorted ourselves out, and we survived, and we thrived as an industry. So we don't need regulation, but what we need is to protect our industry.
Yes.
Because it's very, very easy prey for others to come in.
It's a very low bar of entry. I keep saying this.
There's no bar, but yeah, it's not even a low bar. There is no bar.
There is no bar.
Anyone can set up a wedding business and open the next day, and then what happens is
with
they
AI
get closed because they didn't realise they needed an entertainment licence and a noise limiter, or they didn't realise they needed insurance,
or they have to work 24/7.
Yes,
when a big world event like COVID happens, it was a real shake-up for everybody who runs their own business in the wedding industry. And as individuals, like running our own business, everyone's looking outwards, like on their own singularly. And actually what happened was the team came together and it almost created this protection. It was almost like we were able to look in one direction rather than everyone looking in every different direction.
And that's absolutely bingo. This is what we're doing with the association, is we're going, there is this direction. So it's basically everyone signs up to a code of conduct. Really good point. You find you join the industry, realise you're working 24 hours and you vanish. So nobody can display the membership badge unless they've been operating for an entire 12 months before they even start. And even at that point, they can only call themselves a member. Once they've answered the benchmarking questions, depending on how they score on the benchmarking questions, they can then progress to being an approved member, a premier member, and then the very highest of the high leading members, which are literally like B Corp. Excuse me. And those are going to be the ones that we'll be looking to as this is a brilliant business. It's probably somebody that's been running their business for 30 years, has learned everything they needed to in the industry and is in a position to teach others how to do it. Because that's the thing that we found is all these people that came into the advisory board, all these people stepping up as ambassadors and strategic partners, what all of them are wanting to do is help everyone else be brilliant. It's not about competing. It's not about jostling. It's about going, if we can all be really good, we can all collectively deliver a great service and be able to charge for it. Because in the UK, we charge far less for weddings than most other countries. You know, we really do pull everything in as tight as we possibly can to be as cost effective for couples.
Because there are people out there that have only just started that are undercutting.
Yeah.
And we're trying to compete for the business, knowing that we are the best.
Yeah.
And what will happen is if they're undercutting because they haven't got insurance or they're not doing risk assessments or they don't have, you know, a proper address with a proper premises.
Or not ordered the dress.
Yes, as you say,
Or just disappear.
Disappear.
Take
a lot.
deposit and disappear.
Seeing a lot of that at the moment.
So if they're not protecting deposits, all of this, we're benchmarking over 3 areas: professionalism, sustainability, because that is going to be, it's important to couples, and you know, it's a tough one for businesses in the wedding industry. We're not pretending that it's going to be easy, but this is about saying, right, what little steps can we take? And if you're at 20%, 30% of the maximum score, you're actually doing well. You're showing progression. You're doing something, which is what people are looking for. And then the last one is the credibility. And that is the bit that I think what I was trying to capture, and it beautifully does it, is when somebody says to me, somebody that I know says, I'm thinking about booking this business for my wedding. Do you think I should? And I will go away, you know, if I've not heard of them, if I don't know them, there's a few things I will do to find out whether I think they are credible. And those are the questions you're answering in that section. That is the really, really strong bit. You know, it's how long have you been trading? Where are you trading from? You know, are there 3 people in the industry that will vouch for you? Who are they? You know, name them.
Can we talk about AI prompts? Oh, I can't speak now. AI prompts.
Oh, and AI. This is.
And she's off. Here we go. He gave us a 10-minute warning 10 minutes ago.
Sorry. AI gets me so excited. This honestly, it's like.
It's why it's towards the end.
Yes, I could talk forever. And one of the really exciting things about the UK Wedding Association, what we know about AI, is it is. Everyone needs to appear at the top of AI search, but AI is smart enough that it's not going to believe your marketing spiel. It's not going to come to your website and go, oh yeah, because Sharon says this must be true. It's going to go, well, this is your business, so you're going to say that. What are other people saying about it? So one of the things that we have built in, yet to be launched, got the meeting tomorrow to decide whether we launch this, it's a bit scary, is an AI overview on the UK Wedding Association platform of each of the businesses, which is us as a not-for-profit organisation saying, this is how we rate this business on professionalism, credibility, sustainability, because of what we're seeing on their benchmarking and what we have seen of them in the industry. And because the UK Wedding Association is so neutral, you know, it's straight away being a not-for-profit, being, you know, it's not associated to Guides for Brides. It's on its own. We've got.
How important is it not to be profitable?
It's so important. I mean, partly so that we could be an association. We've got to be a not-for-profit to be able to do that, but also because, you know, inevitably people within the industry would otherwise have gone, you know, well, why are you doing? What's the motivation here?
Yes,
This is
what's
why
in
it's
it for
not
you?
part of Guides for Brides. You know, we didn't do it as this is an add-on to Guides for Brides. That would have been so much easier. We wanted to make sure.
You wanted to keep the momentum after COVID of that team that you brought together.
Absolutely, and it, you know, it wasn't me that brought the team together to start off with. That was very much Sarah Haywood and Richard Eagleton. But what they had created, let's keep that going afterwards. Was really important. So it couldn't be part of a commercial business, but also for businesses to understand that we're on their side and that we're always going to be fair And if a business isn't, it makes it much easier for us to say, sorry, you're not at the standard. Mm-hmm. You've scored this because you're not at the standard. We don't want our badge on your website. Really sorry. So it will be a badge of honour, and I believe in the future it will be seen very much like awards ratings. It will sit very much like that. Have you won any awards? Are you a member of the UK Wedding Association?
What are your thoughts on these awards that are out there?
Some of them are great. And actually, I think...
Can I just say, having Boujee Music has won a couple of Guides for three Guides for Brides awards.
But it makes a difference
for customer service.
So we put our awards are specifically on customer service, and different awards, I think you have to look at them in the context of the awards.
Yes.
But like anything else, when you win something, you win at the Winter Olympics, does that mean you're the best skier in the world? No, you're the best skier that went to the Olympics, and it's exactly the same as the awards. It's only the businesses that are within that awards process that are eligible, and therefore...
And it's voted by customers.
So our awards are done on initially on the number of reviews and the quality of the reviews you get, but it's then judges. And this is where, when people say, oh, it's rigged, blah, 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 it's absolutely, I've judged for various industry awards. I don't go anywhere near, which is why, when you said, I've won, I don't know until the night, literally when John reads it out, or Nikita reads it out, I don't know who's won, because... And I then forget again straight afterwards.
We were very happy.
It makes a big difference. But it's really important when you're judging the awards. It's your reputation, and I really worry, because you're usually one of a panel. And when I'm judging, I really, really worry that my view would be different from someone else's. You spend hours and hours and hours, so they're absolutely not rigged. But perhaps the really important thing isn't who won, it's also who was in the process. Because if you put yourself forward into a process, even there's some awards that you have to pay to enter, you're not going to pay unless you genuinely think you're the best. But also you're not going to enter any award process unless you are prepared to reflect on your own business. And actually that's what couples want, isn't it? They want businesses that care about whether they are doing the best they can do. Not everyone needs to use the winning business, but it makes a big difference to businesses. If you win, and winning 3 times shows absolutely consistent performance. And that's where sometimes people say, it's always the same businesses that win. It's because that business really, really focuses on what they're doing, and they do it well. We know as a business what we do well. We know that if we enter awards on those criteria, we would hope we would win, and we'd be disappointed if we didn't. So
of course, only one person can win. What I love about your award system is that it's done on the reviews that are already there. We're not having to email going, please vote for me, please vote for me, please vote for me.
And the reason we started it was to get more reviews, because we knew how important reviews were, and so important for AI search as well. So important. I mean, if there's one thing you should be doing, getting more reviews on and getting, that really important stuff on third-party websites. Because as I said, AI isn't going to listen to your website, but it's going to listen to ours. Because we edit the listings, we make sure they're true, because couples will come back to us if they're not.
Fantastic. He's been waving like a lunatic at me. I think he's probably gone home now and have the camera rolling.
I had a feeling we'd chat about
we did. Our Zoom did go on for a long time. If couples could remember just one thing when they're booking a wedding, what would you say that would be?
Wow. One thing when they're booking a wedding, go with your heart, go with your gut. I did a lot of work identifying wedding venues that are the right fit for particular types of wedding. And I found it really obvious. I could walk into a wedding venue and go, this is going to really work for this sort of wedding. Couples that are looking for this, they will fall in love with this. So you've got to go there, you've got to see it, you've got to, I think that's really important. But also build a rapport with the businesses that you're going to be working with, because they're going to be really, really important.
They're your wingmen.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the day.
So do your research. don't cut corners, don't be tempted. All of the bad press that we see, particularly on Facebook, and it's always on Facebook because it's people that have booked their businesses on, and I'm sure there's businesses that promote on Facebook and that's their model. But a lot of the businesses that promote on Facebook, it's because they are budget businesses. It's these ones that appear from nowhere, they're undercutting, and they will disappear just as fast. There's
a DJ that's just gone AWOL on a lot of weddings and just taken the money.
And you wouldn't do that if you've got a business that you're going to stand by. I couldn't. There's no way I could do it. There's 30 years of history. There's a building. It couldn't happen. So if you do your research and know that you're booking somebody that is passionate about what they do, is going to be here in a year's time, because you're probably paying.
And this is it. And you're planning your wedding a year in advance. But I've had people walk into my boutique recently and went, "Oh my God, you're still here." Like, I'm still the same person.
Yes.
You haven't aged, thank you. But I'm the same person greeting them as I was 25 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why they've come back.
And this is going to be one of the things the UK Wedding Association will be able to do, because it shows right there on the first page how long this business has been a member.
Right.
So to be able to go, this has been a member, it shows, if you click through onto the platform, it shows when they set up the business, and they're going to be getting extra credibility points if they've been running for 3 years, 6 years, 10 years, 20 years. So it's all of that information that's going to really help couples, because in the future with AI, when couples are searching on AI, anything can be fed into that.
Well, this is what we've been talking about recently, is because of AI, people don't know what's real, what's not. So that's why we're important, because we want to see the face and the heart behind the business.
Well, you're talking about the cake people.
The cake
company that was using AI for the cake pictures.
Oh, one of my brides, went literally booked this lady for her cake. I think it's a lady and a man actually, and booked them via Instagram, because the grid's fantastic. There's some videos as well of cake making, and they're gone to the wedding fair, nothing like it whatsoever.
Yeah. And it's all just AI images. We've got the first...
Sorry, boss.
Sorry, we'll be quiet in a moment. We've got the first industry event for the UK Wedding Association this Thursday, and that is looking at responsible PR. And one of the things that we're discussing in that is going to be how you can and should use AI responsibly, and what's acceptable at the moment, because we had a situation last year. It was all over the internet at the time, and I mean, thankfully it was managed, but a photographer had got just AI images of his work. He was a commercial photographer. He had moved to wedding photography. He had been the second shooter at weddings for, I think it was something like 12 years, massively experienced. But because he was the second shooter and it was all luxury weddings, there was nothing he could put on his Instagram. The agency he used put a load of AI images, and he got absolutely slammed. He got cancelled. He was, it was horrific for him at the time. I was speaking to him. Zoe from Hitch was speaking to him as well, just to, it's okay. You won't be the first, you won't be the last. No. But weirdly, absolutely fine for wedding venues, for example, to use AI to show the new extension they're putting in. But that's helpful to couples. And I think that's that really big difference. But these are the sort of things we're unpicking for businesses on Thursday and going, what's okay and what's not okay.
Because you're going to get found out. Why are you doing it? You're going to get found out.
Yeah, and there are times when it's appropriate. So, we always say, as long as you label it as created with AI, then people know that actually you're going that extra mile to help them see what it would look like. When you do, in the future, when you're doing AI dress fittings, you'll say, this is what you'll look like, but you're not going to look exactly like that.
I have to say, that was all that we did this 10 years ago at Harrogate. There was a prototype there, and it didn't take off, but I can see it happening now. Particularly in COVID, we definitely needed it in COVID.
Yes. But it's not going to be the same.
No.
But it'll keep evolving, and I think for us as an industry, we've got to keep up with it, and we've got to be progressive, because we're quite a traditional industry. And actually, for us to move forward, it's going to be really important for us to accept that these things are out there, but transparency is going to be really important.
So this has been an episode for brides and suppliers. really, hasn't it?
For everything. Well, that's kind of what
and that's what. So if you're a supplier, if you're a couple getting married, head over to Guides for Brides because you've got it. You've got it all.
It's all there.
You've got it all there.
Absolutely.
So for the camera, where can we find you?
Everywhere. So for Guides for Brides, at Guides for Brides, and it's really easy to find Guides for Brides because we were the first out there. We do exactly what it says on the tin. So we tend to use that everywhere. And then UK Wedding Association, again, exactly the same at UK Wedding Association. We're quite active on LinkedIn for both of those. So I'd say for businesses, head to LinkedIn, and for couples, head to Instagram is probably, and the platform.
Yeah, it's no fun. And it's a very clean and easy platform to use.
It's hopefully incredibly clean and easy.
Yeah. We're in an era of scrolling, especially when we're wedding planning or missing stuff. So.
And actually, we send people out to people's websites, and it's tough for businesses because businesses always say, but I need to see the number, I need to show the FD the number of inquiries. And it's like, no, we don't want to send you the inquiries. We want to send people to your website.
Direct them, yeah.
And because that is where they're going to book you. They need to see that information.
Yeah.
You know, they've scrolled all the way down past all of your images and reviews to get to that link to your website. That's a really good lead.
Yeah,
so go to your website.
Where can we find you?
Find us at Boujee Music Live, BOUJEE Music Live, or me on Instagram, Lizzie, IE_hosts.
I thought you were going to sing that then.
EIEI.
And made him laugh again. And you should be out doing these venues by the time this comes out. You want a good night out?
Yeah, so if you would like more information on this, head to our website, bougeemusiclive.com. And you can find out where and when they're going to take place. Add to our wait list, and we can inform you of all that information.
It's a fantastic way of looking at your venue in the evening.
Exactly.
Exactly. Thank you again for listening, subscribing. Send us your comments as well and your messages and your dilemmas.
Yes, please.
particularly when she's here.
Yeah.
And again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and we'll see you all again next week. Bye.